Hello guys, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to the garage, welcome to a fantastic spring day here in Pennsylvania. So it is absolutely gorgeous out, but that doesn't really matter for us because we're doing UCC truck stuff. So we are working on our sled pulling setup. So what I did so far was I put the sled pulling tires back on. I didn't do the full dually thing, I just wanted to get the ride height right. Also, I jacked the truck up and I have our coilovers in the top two holes on our Fire Punk 4-link bracket kit, because what we're going to be doing today is actually our hitch adjuster. So our hitch, as you guys know from the diesel shop in New York, we have to kind of redesign it for our setup. So their truck was full frame, they had some adjusters that went up and down. We don't have that because, well, we're all cut up back here. So what we are going to do is we're actually going to use these top links. I just got these at Tractor Supply, and we are going to put mounting locations for them on the axle, and basically that way we'll be able to adjust our hitch up and down. So our maximum hitch height is 26 inches. So with where the truck sits currently, our hitch has the ability to go from about 28 inches down to 24 inches. So that'll give us some adjustment up and down because I don't know what our tire pressure is going to be and all that when we get there. So I just want to have that adjustment, and we can, you know, move it up and down, get it dialed in, because I think we're going to want it as high, you know, as close to that 26 inches as we can get it. Also, we need to keep it off this bar here so we're not bending that, but our adjusters are going to go down to the axle. You typically see everybody put the adjuster about right here. And as you guys can imagine, our coilovers kind of get in the way of that. So I have a couple brackets that I made. But as you guys can see, yeah, it's pretty tight to our coilover setup. So what we are going to have to do is actually remove them, which isn't going to be a problem because we're going to actually block the rear axle, which is something I'm going to have to come up with as well. Basically have something coming down to the frame here, or to the axle here and up to the frame, so that way we can dial in our height. I might even make that as that adjustable as well, so we can just dial this thing right in. So we're going to need to get rid of our coilover, so we'll take some of our scrap steel that we got and actually block the frame up from the axle and weld everything, or tack everything in. Then we can get rid of our coilovers and we can figure out where our adjusters are going to go. We're also going to have to modify our hitch to do that because these top links are nice. They kind of are like a Heim, but they really don't have that much misalignment. So we're pretty much going to come straight off the axle, and we're going to have to put some extensions on our hitch here. Not a big deal. Also, these end links are top links. We're going to get cut in half, and I have some square tubes so we can extend them and make them the length we need, because I'd rather not have a ton of thread hanging out. I want to have as much of that inside of it as possible. So this is going to be doing two things. One, adjusting our hitch up, but it's also going to be, you know, applying force to the axle as well. I had thought about these brackets, putting them down underneath here, so that way we could just get a bolt or a pin, you know, slide it in this way. But if you look at everybody's setup, they're all right here. The rules state that they need to be no higher than the center line of the axle. So obviously, you know, to me that tells me that if you have them higher on the axle, it gives you a bit of an advantage. So I think we want them as close to the center line as possible. And being that I am not a sled pulling guru or don't know much about it, I'm just going to go with what everybody else has done because there's probably a good reason for it, and I just don't know what it is. So I also had to disconnect our anti-roll bar as it was not allowing the frame to come up as high as we wanted it, which, you know, picking it up like that would get a nice rake to the truck too, which I think will also help when the sled attaches and pulls down on our hitch and then tries to lift the front end, and we have our weight box, all that. So what we're going to do is we're going to weld the scrap steel, get this thing all kinds of like solid suspension like, and get rid of our coilovers and get our adjusters in. So that's kind of the plan of attack today, is to try and get some of this sled pull stuff wrapped up. We got this to do, and I'm going to actually add something to the front of the axle too, just to protect the forelink and just give us a little more strength, but that probably won't be today. So that's game plan. Let's get to doing some sled pulling hitch stuff. It's a good bit later. Had to make some adjustments. We'll get into what's going on here in a second. But underneath, as you guys can see, we're all tacked up. But anyhow, as you guys can see, we actually had to modify our linkage. So if you guys see here, I actually shaved these down. I cut about 1/4 or 3/8 inch off of our adjustment. So if you look at how they're supposed to be, that's what we cut off. So I had to do that because of our coilover to get it to work. So let me get this out of here and I'll show you. So I got looking at our brackets. I had our brackets actually tacked up, and then I was looking at it and I said, you know what? When we get our coilover on there, it might be pretty tight. So like I said, cut about 3/8 or 1/4 inch off of our adjustment here. And now if we hold our coilover up, get it kind of in line here. So got our coilover all lined up, and now we have a little bit of a gap. So I think that will be fine. If not, we'll shave down our bracket a little bit if we find out it's rubbing, but I don't think it will be an issue. But that being said, it took some time to figure out how we were going to correct this, and finally it was easy just to shave this down, gave us the clearance we needed. I was actually thinking about rotating this down like I had said previously, but kind of wanted to keep it close to the center line. So as you guys can see, this casting mark is the center line of the axle, and our mounting hole is just below it. So we're good there. So let me pop back out here. So like I said, we're all tacked up. Got our top links from Tractor Supply in. Our brackets are in here. I have this piece of channel, or this piece of like big square tube. Darn it, there goes my little level thing. But anyhow, I used that and cut a slot to make our, I don't even know what you want to call it, but our support for our adjusters. I have it right here back at this back tube on the truck, and our adjusters work. We do have a little more thread sticking out than I would like, which we will fix later. But I have that tacked up. All our brackets for our adjustments is tacked up. We're sitting at about 26 inches here, which we have a good bit to go down. So I'm thinking we might, when we make our stops for our axle, then we can actually raise the truck up a little more, and just to have a little more angle on our hitch, which I believe will help us. So that's where we got. As you can see, this channel, this was a piece of scrap I had gotten, and it was already cut out here. So we're gonna fill this plate in. We had to make some spacers because it is a little bigger than the tube we are going to, but that's not a big deal. So what we'll do is we'll pull off the hitch assembly itself. Get this all welded up, finish welded. We'll weld our brackets to our axle, we'll be good. And then we'll just have to worry about our adjusters. So I'm digging kind of how it looks. Like I said, this is a piece of scrap. So like these two holes are already in it. I mean, just kind of looks like a little guy, 2 eyes and a nose or something, Maybe we'll add a mouth, but no, that's not gonna happen. So we'll get this off, get it all welded out. I'm probably just gonna stick weld it and get the brackets on the axle weld, and we'll be done. So I kind of forgot about the camera for a good bit there, but you get into something, you have to pivot like we did with our making these adjustment things on our top link smaller, and kind of completely forgot about the camera. So yeah, let's get our hitch off. So guys, welcome to day 2 of our hitch adjuster install. So yesterday we ended with some welding, and well, we had quite a bit of welding to do. So we had to weld our brackets on our rear axle, which I actually just wrapped up now in the garage. Just had to finish weld those out. They were all tacked up, and also had to weld on our little support for our adjusters, which I know it is way beefier than it needs to be, but we're just kind of working with what we had. But as you guys can see, everything is nicey nice. We got it all welded in. I even have those holes that were in the plate all patched up, so it looks pretty good. I'm very happy with the results here. So that's done. Our adjustment points on the bottom are done, and I even got a coat of primer on them. So once again, very happy with how that turned out. It is quite a bit heavier than it needs to be, but you know, it's better stronger than weaker, I guess. So like I said, just kind of working with what we got, but I think it looks pretty good. Can hardly tell that there was big holes right there. So what we're going to do now is get our hitch back installed in our mounts here. We're going to get it back in there. We'll get our adjusters in. I'll get a length. What I'm going to do for a length, so this is the ride height I think I want the truck when we pull, but I want to have the option to make it a little higher, because at this height I think our hitch is at 24 inches. So I'm going to add a little bit of adjustment to the height when we go to do that. But as far as the hitch goes, this is the very bottom it's going to be. So what I'm going to do is measure and see how long our adjusters need to be, and I'll make that like the base setup. So just a little bit off of our hitch sitting on this bar, I'll run them up, we'll get a length, and then we'll take our adjusters and whack them in half here. We'll get this piece of 2x2 square tube, and we'll use that to extend these. And what I'll do is I'll actually try and get it into here, and we'll do a couple plug welds and all that, and that should be very strong. And we will have our adjusters, and that should be about it for our hitch. We still need to make some axle stops, which I got looking at, and we might do something with our coilover mounts, just temporarily. I haven't really decided, because as far as getting an axle stop on the passenger side here, as you guys can see, our anti-roll bar might have to move. But we're not going to get into that tonight. We're going to finish our hitch, and that'll be one more thing off of our list. All right, so our adjustment links for our hitch are done-ish. So I have just this one tacked. I do have the one side on this one fully welded, but we seem to have run out of welding rod. Oh well, it is what it is. I'll just get some more rod and cap them off. Also, I'm going to drill it and do a couple plug welds, but we're out of rod, so I don't think that we need to TIG weld this, so we're not going to. I'll just get some more rod tomorrow, but it's easy enough. We can just turn it and adjust it out and set our height that way, so everything's good. I do need to get some shorter bolts. The ones that we have are much too long, but I'm really liking it. I think it turned out very well. Looks pretty good. Looks like we know what we're doing. But yeah, very happy with how this all turned out. I think it will be good support for the axle, or for the hitch on the axle. I think it's definitely robust enough, because all I did when I added these tubes, really we only added like an inch, or not an inch, 2 3/4 inches in length is all we needed to get rid of most of our thread. So when this hitch is down, these are actually completely bottomed out, which is perfect. So we'll just have minimal amounts of thread showing. Just trying to make it as strong as possible, make sure we have full thread engagement in here. But the rest of it, you know, we have the wall of the adjuster itself, and then this tubing. So I think it's definitely good. It also makes adjustment easy, because you have a nice square piece to grab a hold to. So yeah, very happy with that. Our hitch definitely looks good. I know that piece is a little big, but it certainly gives it its own unique look, and I'm definitely digging it. Definitely good. So our hitch is just about, actually, yeah, our hitch is done. So once I get those things finished welded, this is what the truck's going to look like from the rear. Yeah, definitely stoked to see this thing in full sled pull trim out in the yard or out in the drive. But we got that done. We do need to, like I said earlier, make some sort of suspension stop. Since we're not going to have our coilovers in, we need to have like a solid suspension in the rear. So I'm going to come up with some sort of stop there. So that way we can figure that out. And I might, well, see our bolts, when we have just a short bolt with just a nut, maybe we'll tie in our bracketry for our coilovers. I haven't really fully decided on that. I think it's probably definitely stronger if we go from just on the axle to the frame of the truck, but then we're gonna have to flip our, man, what's that thing called? Man. Our pan hard bar. We're gonna have to fix our pan hard bar, flip that bracket, which shouldn't be too big a deal. Just cut it off and re-weld it, but just more work to do, but not a big deal. But that's definitely something that I wasn't thinking about before. So yeah, definitely coming together. Definitely feeling good about where we are sled pull wise for the truck. So the front end's done with our weight box. We'll just have to get some weights for it. We have to do that. I want to put some sort of suspension thing in the front of our forelink, so that way we're not putting all that stress on the forelink itself. So what I want to do is probably put some sort of an adjuster on the axle coming up to the frame up here, just a little more strength as well up to the front, because, well, will the forelink take it? Probably, but a little extra would not hurt at all. So I want to do that. Our suspension stops, like I said, and then we're good, and we're gonna just block the front up, so we'll be good up there as well. So yeah, apart from that, we have to weigh the truck when we're finally done, and we have to weigh all of our sled pull stuff, so that way we know how much weight we're gonna need to put in the front end of this thing, because the truck, I think by the time we go out there, I think we will have cut another 300 to 350 pounds out of the truck between our coilover install in the front, our rack and pinion steering, the little mod we did back here. But we also have some big weight savings coming for the axles. Just waiting on a few parts to show up for that. So a little hint of what's coming up. Put down in the comments what you think that might be. Also, we need to put some stronger axles in the truck. The factory axles I don't think will survive. So we need to get something for that. But yeah, as far as the sled pull stuff goes, I'm feeling very confident where we're at. So yeah, we're going to keep grinding away on this stuff, and hopefully this weekend maybe we can get to test the truck a little, which means we got to kind of do the reverse and pull the hitch off, get the height back down, put our coilovers back on, get this thing ready to drag race, because I think we are ready to go test the truck. Just waiting on a good test and tune evening. So anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed. We're grinding away on UCC stuff. I'm excited, I'm nervous, and I can't wait. So anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed. Please like the video, subscribe down below. Catch you guys in the next one. Get out in your garage, get the wrench on your truck.